Howdy. Just got myself in the right tiz talking about Forest of the Night. So I finished the Doctor Who book I've been reading, and this indeed is the Doctor Who book I've been reading. It is Dalek by Robert Shearman, and it's brilliant. And in thinking about what I was going to say about it, I had a quick look at the Wikipedia page about Rob Shearman, because Rob Shearman's one of those authors, Doctor Who authors, that you kind of immediately get a sense of confidence about. I went to the shop the other day and I was going to buy Jubilee or Chimes of Midnight, which have recently been released. And I didn't in the end because they're very expensive. But I kind of feel it's a must. I'm going to have to at some point because it's Rob Shearman. And he's got this reputation, hasn't he? So I had to look through and I tried to work out personally, why do I feel that he's a Doctor Who writer that is worth following? And it must come down to the Big Finish audios, because that seems to be where I've engaged with his work the most. Now, I haven't done Big Finish on this YouTube channel. Whether I ever do that, we shall have to see. But if I do, then the Rob Shearman stories are going to be, up front with the ones that I do. So we've got The Holy Terror, which is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, The Holy Terror is possibly my favourite Sixth Doctor story ever. Chimes of Midnight, obviously Jubilee, as aforementioned. Scherzo, which I remember terrifying me in a car park when there was a big noise. Meadowhall. Anyway, so it's always been a bit of a wonder why he didn't come back to the series after doing Dalek. And I know that Moffat wanted him, but whatever, he didn't. And that's a pity because, well, he's a class act, isn't he? And Dalek, reflecting back on it, is an highly significant Doctor Who story, to say the least. So what have we got with Dalek? Well, another thing I've been thinking about in relation to this conversation is the fact that I'm very interested with the Target books. In particular, those Target books where an author is allowed to revisit the story that they've written. So we've got Rose, we've not talked about that here, but that's great, which RTD's written. Day of the Doctor is another example. We've already talked about the Crimson Horror. But here, Shearman's got an opportunity to retell a story which is, well, if you count Jubilee in, and I'm a little bit dubious about how close a connection Dalek and Jubilee have. There's obviously kernels of an idea that have grown separate trees, bad metaphor. But we've got Dalek here, and what Shearman does with this is amazing. So Rob Shearman clearly knows the Target novelisations of old very well and recognises that they serve a function with Doctor Who and offer an opportunity for new writers, because whilst he does do a very beat-by-beat retelling of Dalek with some significant changes, which I'm not going to go into here because I think you should go and read it if you love Doctor Who. Why are you watching this if you don't like Doctor Who? You should, because it is fascinating to see the different twists and turns that the story takes. There's a poetry in this that I think is, and I use that term advisedly, this is high quality writing. This is not just a retelling of a story in a Dixian style. I'm not knocking Terence Dicks, obviously. But we have got some flourishes of turns of phrase. He does, the word "oh" is within the narration here, which is a very powerful thing. It has a tone all of its own. And the way that we delve into the Doctor's mind, the teasing out of those parallels that are obviously already in the story, but the speed at which we get to it, my God, it's fast. We are straight into this story with a rapidity that I did not anticipate. But the particular feature I want to talk about is that what he's done is he's taken various characters. So that includes the Torturer, Adam, Van Statten, Goddard, and the Dalek themselves. And you get to see some background. And they are little episodes that fall in between. Now, you got a bit of that sense of City of Death, of expanding. City of Death, I think, in terms of this conversation, can fall into the same sort of category of a retelling of a Doctor Who story, even though it's not an Adams retake. But whereas with City of Death, what you got was a fleshing out of the glorious world of City of Death. With this, Shearman's like laser focus. Let's take these characters and let's talk about them. And by doing it, we get these parallels between those stories, the stories of those characters, some of which are explicit, some of which just are implicit, and it makes for a fascinating read. We don't do it with the Doctor and we don't do it with Rose, and I think that's appropriate because their stories are writ large. But here, even with the Dalek, it is called Dalek. I've never really registered that. Obviously, it's there up front, but it's called Dalek. That is the main character. It's like Rose, an unearthly child, Dalek. These are the characters we are looking at. So anyway, this one about the torturer who lives long in the memory. I mean, this is bleak stuff, some of it. Like Holy Terror's bleak. I strongly recommend you go and track down a copy of Holy Terror. Genuinely, the best Six Doctor story, I think, of all the Six Doctor stories. I'm going to have to go and listen to it again now. But yeah, I mean, Rob Shearman, I will be going out and hunting down, when I can justify it to Libby, spending 44 quid on hardback books. Anyway, because I just think he's a writer who takes this idea of Doctor Who being a storytelling medium that gives a writer with the imagination for it so much scope to play and explore. And if you are taking a story that's already told in one medium, the license then just to go big and wide or go tiny and focused. But whatever you want to do as a writer, the scope is there because of this magnificent storytelling medium. And when you've got a story as good as Dalek, and let's be honest, Dalek is like, let me do this. I hate that chef's kiss nonsense, but there we go. So listen, I say this all the time at the moment, but then again, I'm probably deliberately choosing the good ones. This is a banger, proper banger. I really would love for more people to be into this little slither of Target books where we're able to explore these old stories, and I hope they touch base with them again because I really think there's some merit to them. And of course, when we get to Shooty's Era, we've got all those to look at as well and see how that's impacted upon the Target books. But anyway, there we go. Bosh. Loved this book. Really enjoyed it. Not going to be touching the Doctor Who books for a little while. I'll see if I can cram one in later because they're too much good fun. Anyway, farewell.